think CB has to have sufficient methodology to do this differentiation, although we don't see it in the direct submission. So I think we need to be more reasonable in terms of assessing what our future demand is. And if you reduce that excessive demand, there'll be a bigger reduction in actual generation costs. And we'll have a better reduction given to the consumers. I also want to point out that CB also did a miscalculation in demand last September. And that was more to do with reduction of mini hydro generation due to drought being considered as demand increase. So we need better professionalism from CEB and better numerical literacy. But I think this current projected demand increase is not reasonable. Next, when it comes to hydro generation, hydro projection, we are in a La Nina phase. So in the La Nina phase, first June to August time frame, there will be additional rainfall, more than average. But we don't see that being reflected in CEB's hydro projections. In fact, even the month of June, we have over 100 gigawatt hours more inflow has come up. And even the hydro storage, compared to CEB's projection, there's 100 gigawatt hours more. And similarly, July and August, we will also have a lot of hydro. And what CB has done is they have reduced the inflow from October to December because of a La Nina year. Now that is appropriate, but you can't, if you are going to reduce in October to December, assuming it's La Nina, then you have to also take the increase into consideration from June to August period, which they have not done. And similarly, we also see that there is a high amount of hydro storage kept by 31st of December. I think it's about 990 gigawatt hours, which is far in excessive than what we would normally need to keep, which is around 800, 850. And bearing in mind, La Nina also increases the generation, increases the inflow in January, February months. Keeping such a high amount of hydro does not seem reasonable. Because we are under projecting the hydro generation in the next 6 months, we are actually showing a much higher cost. What will happen is that CB will also end up with a huge amount of profits this year, as like last year. By doing that, and both CEB and PUCSL will be coming under criticism from public because we are not able to do a proper tariff and with ending up with economy and people suffering and CEB sitting with massive amount of profits. We need CEB to be better at this projection. As an organization which has been running hydro-based systems for over 50 years, this level of not understanding the climate system is really inexcusable. On the CAPEX and OPEX side, CEB gave a huge increase on CAPEX and OPEX in the last tariff submission. I'm happy that the Commission did not approve all of this, but I still believe what the Commission approved in February is too excessive compared to what they are actually able to spend. The point here is that CB has a long drawn out procurement process, and they cannot procure so much of additional goods and services in the given period of time. Even the large scale procurements they do, the actual outflow of finances is actually expected to be in 2025, not in 2024. Sorry, my mistake, I said 23, but it should not be in 2024. So therefore, CB will not also end up spending so much of money. This will again increase the amount of profits and positive cash flow they have at the end of the year at the expense of public and the businesses. We really want CB to be more professional in finance planning. I mean, coming back and saying, oh, we forgot millions of rupees of expenditure in the last tariff submission 2 months after is simply not excusable. It's amateur hour. And as long as we have amateur finance professionals and leadership driving this organization, public will continue to suffer. So my proposal is that any major capex or opex that is not being budgeted in the beginning of the year should not be allowed unless it's an expenditure that is urgent, an emergency. They will have to make do with this. That is normally how finance organizations in other companies work. PUCSL methodology has both capex, opex, and profit clawback provisions. Profits definitely for anything that is beyond the allowed return of investment. Now, in 2023, CEB profits were 61 billion. At the last tariff submission, myself and other people asked for this profit to be clawed back by the PUCSL. It has not been done. The first quarter, there's another 59 billion. So, we are already talking about 120 billion. Okay, and I believe second quarter for 2024 also is profitable. So PUCSL should immediately do the profit clawback and pass that benefit to the consumers. Now, how do we pass the benefit to the consumers? So, first I applaud CEB for doing a good reduction for the lowest consumer category for tariff. But I think we are looking at this problem wrong. What we need to do is to reduce the fixed charges, right? Because right now fixed charges are very high. The variable charges are low. There is no incentive for people to save or reduce consumption or drive for energy efficiency. So this is a wrong approach. If we have a lower fixed cost and higher variable cost, I think that will lead more savings. Also, I've noticed that hotel and industrial sector has not been considered for reduction. I think this is wrong. When you're looking at tariffs, especially for industry and hotels, these are globally competitive industries. If our tariffs are not globally competitive, we will suffer from long-term economic decline. So I strongly believe there is a case, and I have in previous slides I've shown where the additional savings can be done, and I hope the PUCSL will do an equitable distribution of this reduction across all tariff categories and not become a political tool playing for the election. I also want to highlight CEB has not reduced vehicle charging tariffs for the last two revisions. During daytime vehicle charging tariff is 110 rupees per kilowatt hour. I mean, that is absurd. They should really be, if we are serious about decarbonizing our industry, renewables, reducing foreign exchange on fossil fuels, we have to make vehicle charging affordable so that more people switch for electrification of vehicles. The final slide is around wheeling charges. I saw the proposal. Very simple message to PUCSL. Make this economically viable. The current feed-in tariffs are very, it's unclear whether it's economically viable. So long as we don't give economic viability, we will not have adoption. If we want wheeling as a mechanism that we want organizations to adopt, then we have to give reasonable numbers. If you look at India, India is waiving quite a lot of charges on wheeling to make that industry kickstart. We should also follow. And what I also want to recognize is that every unit that is going to be wheeled through is going to reduce a unit that is made out of diesel, which is at 50 rupees. Okay, so rather than looking at how much more to charge people who are wheeling because and make it unviable, we should consider how much it is actually saving consumers and pass that support to people who are wheeling so that we get a better outcome in general.